Hey everybody, it's Dax Castro, and I am so excited about the recent news with math and PDFs. I don't know if you've been following it or not, but Microsoft just announced that you are now able to inject MathML into your Word document and then export it to a PDF and have it be readable by JAWS and NVDA. And PDF Association just released that PDF UA2 now supports math, and math can be injected into a PDF using the right code and tag structure to be able to be read by both JAWS and NVDA in specific situations. And if that wasn't enough, I have been working with a good friend of mine at JAWS Training Consulting, Brian, one of our coders, to piggyback on what Microsoft has done with math. We took their ability to take math from the Word doc to the PDF and expanded that. So if you don't have the source file, you didn't use the source file of Word document to create your PDF, but you've got a document full of math, then you now have the ability to tag that math, but also the MathML is there for people who are using JAWS or NVDA, which now, based on Microsoft's new edition, can actually voice math correctly inside a PDF. Now, these are different approaches. I will say the PDF UA methodology uses the ISO standard for PDF UA2. Microsoft has injected a custom library that both JAWS and NVDA have agreed to embed so that the documents can be read. This all takes advantage of math and MathCat that is embedded inside of NVDA. So I am so excited to show you an example of what I'm talking about. Enough talking. So here we've got a PDF with some math formulas, the dreaded quadratic equation. I don't even know what's going on with this middle one, and I'm not sure what these other two are either. But what I can tell you is that all of these are tagged with a formula tag. So we've been working really hard to utilize AI to be able to detect math equations inside a PDF. We're still working on getting it to consistently identify the proper extent of a math equation, especially when they're not perfectly linear and lined up really nicely. So for now, the best way to do this is to properly tag your PDF with formula tags as a starting point. All right, so let's take a look at how we actually do this. So we've got our PDF. We can go into our PDF inspector here. We're coming up with a better name, but for now it's the PDF inspector. I can simply drag my PDF into the uploads, and then I can look here and I can see speech style. We're utilizing both ClearSpeak and MathSpeak, so you can choose which output you'd like for the alt text that is the fallback for those who don't have a screen reader that's able to parse the MathML. So you can see that we have some verbosity settings for verbose, brief, or super brief, and you can see the examples of what those are. Or you can choose ClearSpeak, and ClearSpeak is more my favorite. I think it's a simpler language, but either way, you choose your thing and then you choose import PDF. And this is where the magic happens. Our AI, proprietary, on-prem AI, not a ChatGPT, goes through the document, analyzes those formulas based on your formula tags, and then renders the MathML and the alt text. And so what we need to do now is, like we say with every piece of AI assisted technology out there, it needs to be reviewed by a human. So let's take a look at what it did. So here we have our quadratic equation, and I can see on the right-hand side, we have a rendering of the MathML. And if we look down here at the bottom, we can see that it has formula, alt text, and the MathML for that formula, right? And in fact, I can see that both the image from the original document and the MathML rendering match. And I can look at the alt text, and it says x equals the fraction with a numerator negative b plus or minus a square root. And I can say, you know what? I don't want the numerator in there. I can say x equals negative b plus or minus a square root of b squared minus 4ac. And I'm going to change that to over 2a. It's just how I was taught when I was in geometry, right, or math, algebra, right? So I've changed it. Now when I save this to the PDF, it'll actually write back right into the PDF. Let's take a look at the next equation. Well, the next one says, no MathML found. It wasn't able to auto-detect the math given the automated process. But what I can do is come up here and hit generate MathML. So I hit generate MathML, and now it's going to generate and actually specifically look at that problem and come up with the MathML based on this individual issue. Now, if we move on to the next one while that's processing, I can see there's a mistake here. On the left-hand side, we have x minus a to the nth power, and on the right-hand side, it got it wrong, x times a to the nth power. Well, we can fix that. We don't have to be a math genius to know that that's a minus and a times. And the code is color-coded here so that I can come down here very easily and find that asterisks or times and multiplication and change it to a minus. And then as soon as I click out of this field, notice that the formula changes right there. So you can edit exactly what's going on to make sure that how AI was able to interpret it matches, right? And so our second equation here is now finished. If we come up here to our second equation, we can see that it did in fact get this right. Now you can see that the minus q over 2 has become minus q over 2. Now, I'm not a math genius. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's where you can then export this out to Excel and go and give this to a math expert who could then edit and tell you whether it's right or wrong, and then you could bring it back in. And you're able to then inject based on that Excel file and rewrite all of them, one of them, some of them in a way that makes sense. And the great thing is, all of this gets written into the PDF. I just couldn't be more thrilled. And I can't tell you enough how excited I was to see Microsoft actually crack the code for how to get math to read correctly inside a PDF. Now, again, it's not based on the ISO standard. It's based on this custom math library that they were able to inject using NVDA and JAWS. But the announcement that we just had by PDF Association about PDF UA2 supporting math has got me really excited, because now we're going to take this even further and make this ISO compliant. What we need, though, is for the PAC checker and the other checkers to kind of come up with us and check these documents against the PDF UA2 standard, so that way we can get passing PAC reports. Because right now, if I try to run this through PAC, it's going to tell me I've got non-standard tags because it doesn't understand some of those math tags. But given our methodology and the one that Microsoft's using, it will pass PAC, because it is using the MathML behind the scenes and not actually in the tags tree. So for right now, this solution does work and will pass the PAC checker. It has a fallback of alt text. It allows you to import and export so that other people can see it and edit it, and it can all be done on the PDF end. So if you didn't start with the Word doc, which would be great, but we don't always have that, you now have a solution to be able to properly tag math so that it can be read by assistive technology. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this is useful? We are allowing our clients to actually use this. We are using this with a limited number of clients. So if you're interested in getting a demo for yourself on one of your documents, I'd love to do that for you. So go ahead and reach out to me wherever you're seeing this post, on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'd be happy to schedule a demo for you. Hopefully you guys are excited about this as much as I am, because it is a great leap forward in the world of math inside a PDF.